Hello, everybody, and welcome to this unnamed show. We don't know what it is. We don't know where it's going. We have an idea, but we don't know what the name is. And maybe you guys can help us with this as we go through this process. My name is Rob Woodbridge. I am from Untether.tv. And that is a place where we bring you some in-depth interviews with some of the greatest minds in mobile, at least mostly North American. And my hope for this is to bring a little bit of an international flair, because there is much more going on outside of North America than there is inside of North America. And who better to help out with this, actually to lead this, is Mobile Groove's own Peggy Ann Salz. Peggy, thank you so much. I don't even know what we're going to call this show, but boy, oh boy, am I ever happy to have you on it, going through this experience.
It's mutual, Rob. It's a meeting of the minds, a melding here. I mean, I've gotten to know you by watching your shows. Great to be working with you, and I'm looking forward to stirring up the industry out there.
Well, there's a lot going on, and that's one of the things that we often forget is that, you know, especially in the startup community in your city or your small community, you forget about what's going on around the world. And, you know, there's a lot of duplication, but there's a lot of innovation that's happening in North America, outside of North America. So what I hope to do is, you being in Germany, me being in Ottawa, Canada, and representing as much as I can the rest of North America, see if we can't bridge that the gap called the Atlantic Ocean, and start bringing some news of what's going on in and around the rest of the world.
Mm-hmm.
So what if we started by this? A little bit of background about who you are and what Mobile Groove is, and so we can just kind of set the tone here about what it is that you are doing, and how you're touching this mobile space.
Okay, well, I'm Peggy Ann Salz. I head Mobile Groove. As you pointed out, it used to be mSearch Groove, and there's a little bit of a story in that rebrand that I'll share with you just for a little bit of context. And what it is that I'm fascinated by knowledge, how we know what we know, search, which is the de facto way we access everything. You know, knowledge, content, services. So search plays a huge role in our lives, and based on that, I started to look at the role of mobile search in our lives and wrote a book, well, a report for Informa. I think we all did it at one point in our careers, and looked at the role of mobile search, the evolution of mobile search. I was absolutely right, but far too early, because it got a little dull, because we didn't have the devices. This was mobile search on feature phones, which, I mean, you know, yes, the next billion has to do it perhaps, but that doesn't make it fun or interesting or doable. And so watching mobile search sort of become fairly dull, I moved it over to Mobile Groove being analysis and commentary on all things mobile. But I still have a passion for search. I'll still listen to search companies. I've got some great search startups for you, because mobile search has also moved on. Yes, it is about Google. It is about search as we know it, so-called universal search, but there's some great stuff going on in voice, personalization. You know, I could go off on a tangent on that. So that's what Mobile Groove is now. It's all things mobile. And very happy, a very strong focus on mobile marketing, which brings it all back together again, because it's people, it's search, it's content. Advertising is advertising. Advertising is now content. Advertising is entertainment. Advertising is an app. So there's a lot of mileage there in the mobile space, and I'm looking forward to looking at it with you, because I want to go down those verticals and those niches where no one has dared to go. No one has Star Trek there, a little Trekkie for you. But so that's what I'm doing here, and mine has been writing up to this point, a lot of podcasts, because I have a love for radio that goes back to my days being an intern at NPR. I come originally from Pittsburgh. And so it's been a lot of audio. You're going to bring me into video, and I think together we're going to expose some interesting people to the world.
How long have you been doing this, Peggy, in the mobile space?
Oh, I think since it really started. I mean, my report on mobile search, it was the very first one. It was, I think, 2006 that it finally came out. I wrote it in 2005. In typical Peggy fashion, it included interviews with 75 companies. It was 225 pages. God. Informa said, when are you going to stop? Similar to the Net Size Guide. You'll get to the Net Size Guide, I think, later on, and that was one where I really, we took it from 10 chapters down to 3. I tend to like to write.
But I mean,
but you do videos. It's a great fit.
Well, yeah, because I do videos because I'm lazy. I'm a lazy writer.
No, you're expressive, Marab.
Is that what it is? I always just thought it's because I'm lazy, and that's why I do this. It's much easier to speak about these things than to actually formulate a thought, figure out a sentence, and then put that down on paper. Although I do try to do that as well. But I'm excited about this, and I think that our hopes are for the show really are in alignment, because there are these, as you said, nooks, crannies, whatever you want to call them, alleys, where mobile is being played out, and it's not in the forefront. It's not at LeWeb, and it's not at at GigHome Mobilize. It's being played out. Great startup community, a mobile startup community in Germany, but it's being played out in these little communities like this, and not just in the developing world or the developed world, in the developing nations as well, where it's really, really, really the first screen where mobile is, and we're just catching up as developed nations to what has been going on for quite some time in these developing nations, and I hope that we can bring that kind of story to it. That's the hope. That's really the hope, and different perspectives, which is great, and hopefully at some point, guests, folks that we can actually bring in, and a little bit of insight, a little bit of commentary, and if we can do that, then we've done our job with this, and hopefully you guys who are watching or listening work with us as we go through this first, second, third, fourth episode till we get into, this is going to be terrible, some kind of mobile groove. I'm sorry. It's such a great name that you got that
Yeah, I figured that out. I was going to say we could do something groove here, but we'll work it out. I'm a great believer in the crowdsourcing. The power of us all together. We'll throw it out, and then if we can't figure it out, we'll flip some coins. We'll work it out.
We'll flip some coins. I love it. Well, why don't we try this? So we're going to do our first real episode here, and we're going to see how it goes, and we look for as much feedback as you want to provide to us, those of you who are watching or listening, and of course Peggy and I will modify this as we feel it should be done as we get a little bit more comfortable into this, and I think that we want to keep it short, Sprite. We want to keep some of the content topical, things that you go and take away, either do or things that you didn't know about that you should know about, and certainly at the end of it, we want to bring a focus onto some people that we think that are doing this right, doing the mobile industry right, and what are we going to call this? It's the Goblet of Rock, right? We're going to raise the Goblet of Rock.
School of Rock, yeah. We're going to, at the end of the show, raise our Goblet of Rock. Okay, I'm a U2 fan, among other things, and there you are. You got one better. To people having impact, doing in mobile what we're supposed to be doing in mobile, which is not just talking about the technology. I'm so pleased to go to all of these conferences, and I go to dozens, to finally really hear that it's back to us again. It was about technology for so long. Now it's about impact. Mobile's going to become a prefix. It's going to be a very exciting time. Mobile in the verticals. I'm thrilled to hear stories about mobile health and mobile education. So, we will salute the people who are rocking the industry. How's that?
I love it. I can't wait to find an introduction for that, and we're going to work on that as well. So why don't we jump in? There's two things that we want to focus on right away. One of them is the NetSize guide, as you said that you wrote, and some of the trends, the three trends that we're going to kind of moving into 2012. We want to talk about this survey that was done for 1,000 UK residents on QR codes and their perception of QR codes. Their perception, not North Americans' perception, their perception. And then we're going to get into the Goblet of Rock and raise our glass to one of these companies that are doing things right. So let's just jump right into this, and let's talk about this, a little bit of background about the NetSize guide, and let's bring out the three trends that you guys have kind of concluded on for 2012.
Okay, so the NetSize guide, this year it's the NetSize guide by Gemalto, because NetSize is also now a Gemalto company. And NetSize has been putting out a guide for 10 years. I've been writing it for 4, that looks at the bigger picture in mobile. So what are the trends? We partner with Informa to get numbers from 40 countries. So we've got a lot of data going on. Some people just download it for the data because it's worth that. The data is really good. And Alexander Vlasblom, who's the head of marketing and communications at NetSize, he's been working on this for a long time, getting these partnerships going. So we have Informa. This year we have ComScore, so we've got good data. And then I have the work of creating the framework for it. So what are we going to say new about mobile that we didn't say last year? Last year, for example, it was the Mobile Renaissance. It was really awesome. One of my truly best works. It was 10 chapters long. We looked at the future of mobile. We couldn't stop. We just worked at it from mobile games to AR to mobile health. We had 25 interviews. They're always exclusive interviews. I do them all. This year it was the focus. We decided we couldn't, after doing the Mobile Renaissance, which you can still download and it still rocks. But when you get that far and you say,
Rock and Renaissance, I love it.
Yeah, rock and Renaissance. And you go that far and you say, okay, now what are we going to say new about mobile this year that we didn't say last year? So we looked at it differently and we thought, let's not talk about the next big thing. Let's talk about the three defining megatrends that define mobile as we know it now and as we will experience it in the near future. So what has happened is very much mobile is about transaction. It's about everything in the purchase funnel. It's from awareness to commerce. We understand now what this is. We talk about mobile retail. Maybe a year ago, I don't know about you, but I wasn't talking that much about mobile retail. Before it was sort of, oh yeah, we're going to do that, Minority Report, we're going to walk through the halls and the products will be coming our way. No, it's here now and we search for prices, maybe because we're price conscious, but it is our aid. We reach for it, it reaches us, and it influences us every stage. So that's really transformational. And that brings us to the second chapter, aptly titled Transformation, which is the other thing happening in mobile, is that we are increasingly mobile. We ourselves are mobile in the sense that we don't see a difference between platforms. With connected devices such as the iPad, I mean, is it mobile? Is it a connected device? Is it something else? When I shoot it up on my TV screen, what is it? So the second chapter is all about the transformation of content when you take away the devices and platforms. So it's sort of like cloud computing 2.0. Yes. So what's going to happen when we really do want our content just the way we want it, and we demand it because we're millennials, we're empowered, we want everything, I want it just the way I want it, I want it all and I want it now sort of thing, right?
It's an anthem, isn't it?
That's it. That's our mobile seamless content anthem, Rob. And last chapter took a different approach to say, what is this going to mean to technology as we become more of technology? Because we influence technology. Technology influences us. Our lifestyle is very much impacted by technology. That's a no-brainer. Yeah. What does that mean for the next phase of growth and activity? It's already started. In fact, I couldn't have wished for a better timing sort of thing, because without me having to actually have it happen, Facebook is sort of blowing up all around us, proving the point of the third chapter, which is trust is at the essence of everything. Yeah. If I don't trust the application, if I don't trust the service, if I don't have trust, if I don't know that the application is what it is, if I don't know that it can work, if I don't know that it is not susceptible to viruses, then why would I do banking on my phone? Right? So the next level of mobile depends on trust at an ethical level, but also at a technology level. And Gemalto, NetSize, being a company that also works in trust, SIM cards, banking, all of that, they know enough about that, and we put that into the guide as well. So there's interviews with people who are in the trust space, which honestly was fairly dull before. Yes. I didn't realize that. It was like, you want me to write about trust? You mean I have to learn about the insides of chips? I mean, haven't I done enough already? No, Please. Now that I've done it, it's very fascinating. I can't wait to see how we report about it. It's going to take a little effort because you got to go through some dull stuff, read some things to do it. But once you understand it, you'll understand that it's absolutely critical. And that's where we left it. We left people with those trends to think about them, to discuss them. I've heard recently we're around 1,000 downloads, and that isn't bad considering that we haven't really promoted it. And it continues the whole year. It'll be going straight through to the next year. So many downloads, and Maybe we can also promote it here.
Sure.
Downloading it from Mobile Groove. I'll give you a badge you can put on your site. It's a free download. The whole idea is to spread the information, not to keep it for ourselves.
Well, it's even like Gemalto, right? They were chosen to do to manage the mobile payments for the NFC for ISIS, weren't they?
Yep, just recently,
for
yes.
the NFC wallet. So I mean,
Yeah.
when it comes to all of these things, like transaction, transformation, and trust, I think that these are the pillars really for going forward. Mega trends that will always be there, and I mean, would you lump in trust the same thing around privacy issues? Does that it's all a subset of trust, isn't it?
Yes, very much.
Yeah.
And there are great authors. Maybe we'll get them as guests. That would be really awesome. You know, we've got people out there like Kevin Kelly with books and talking about the importance of trust. We're starting to understand that we go full circle, which is beautiful because I'm actually a humanist. Also, from my background, I have, liberal arts education, which places me as far away from mobile as you can possibly get. But it all goes full circle because it's about things like behavior, understanding the users, people, that sort of thing. And trust is going to be extremely important. It's going to make or break services going forward. If we can't trust them, we won't use them. It's that simple.
Well, yeah, and you said something even before we started. We started when just in the pre-spot before we started recording about not only trust. It's these devices that we carry with us are pretty. I mean, they're smart, but they're pretty dumb, right? When it comes to identifying who I am, whoever's hand holds this is really the owner, and that's a big thing. I remember early on in the web days. Remember where people would say, "I'll never do online banking because what if somebody gets into my bank account?" And that you don't hear that very often, and I haven't heard it in quite some time because of the security and the trust that has enveloped the online banking and transaction space, and the things that have been put in place now to protect us, we the consumers, if something does go wrong, and it's pretty incredible what they've done. But this, they had the same issue with credit cards early on in the day, where you could lift a credit card number and fraud was easy, and then they started adding, separate numbers and holograms and holographs and transparent. They've done all of these security things around those credit cards to make us feel comfortable that when I hand it over to somebody, it's not going to get there's going to be no fraud. But these devices, really, Peggy, I mean, if anybody finds this and my whole life, like a mobile wallet or something, is on here, there's still a gateway here that there's a challenge, because this is a gateway to my bank account now. So trust is very important.
One other point about trust, because you make the point about them being dumb devices. Ironically, we want smart services.
Yeah.
So how does the device get to know me well enough to serve me very well? I have to give it certain permissions. I have to say, okay, you can know my location right now. You can monitor my browsing behavior. I'm okay sharing this stuff with you. I have to know also, where to draw those lines. So in a sense, the irony is the more I trust the technology, the more it can get to know me. The more it gets to know me, the better it can serve me. If I don't let it get to know me, I won't have a good service experience, and that company will be out at the very beginning of the race because I don't want to have a one-size-fits-all service.
Right.
Remember, I'm the me generation. It's all about me.
It is.
It has to be about me.
Yeah.
How's it going to be about me? It's going to be very interesting to watch how that works out.
You know what? So interesting, because there's also that balance with the same generation about a willingness to share just about everything on every social platform. So the concerns, we as parents, or we in the next generation, looking back and saying, there's certain things I would never do, I never share, but people are doing it right now. And I think that there's going to be a moment where this generation looks at it and says, okay, well, I got to be a little bit more concerned about what I share and how I use these devices. And certainly, I don't know. This is a kind of a battle brewing between too much sharing and too much kind of openness versus these devices, which are going to be much more powerful than they are being used right now for these kind of things, purchases and habits, and it's going to know you, as you said, better than any other thing that you've ever carried with you or ever transacted with. Your credit card knows you, your debit card knows you, but not quite as well as this smartphone, because one knows your buying patterns, which you can formulate some ideas around, but this knows what games you play, who you're communicating with, how often you use the phone, who you're calling, where you are. It's incredible, incredibly powerful device. And well, so transaction, transformation, trust, and maybe those are the pillars of the show. Who knows? But those to me are very powerful. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So I'll include a link somewhere in the write-up of this to the guide, to the NetSize guide, where you can download it and get these statistics. And I know a great mobile soothsayer, Tomia Honen, who is on your side of the pond, has used a combination of the NetSize guide as well as Google and Ipsos Reid did a study on smartphone usage and penetration and came up with his own numbers, and it's pretty impressive when you take the stats that you provide and just put them out there. And it's certainly we are in this stage where we're trying to figure out what's going on just by using the numbers that you guys have provided. Pretty amazing.
You can also watch for some of the sort of the in-depth interviews and the outtakes over at Mobile Groove as well, because what I've done for a limited number of clients, I give them briefing rooms on my site, which is real estate on my site. It's a microsite, and the NetSize guide, of course, has a top-notch spot because I believe in it. It's important, and I'm happy to amplify it. So they can download it, but they can also watch for sort of the additional pieces from it or what didn't make it into the guide, some of that content, because of course with a dozen plus interviews with senior execs, 45-minute interviews, we put them into 2,000 word Q&As. There's a lot left over. Wow. So I'd also encourage people to check over at Mobile Groove as that continues into the new year. Some awesome interviews, some of my favorites. I don't want to call them out, but I mean, for example, Tom Daly from Coke and his views on apps.
Oh my God.
Excellent, must read. All of the section on trust, because that way, when you're done reading it, I mean, it's 3,000 word chapter, you're done reading it, you understand the topic well enough so you don't have to delve into all the IEEE stuff from the standardization body to get enough to be conversant in it. So I would encourage people to check it out.
I got to sit down with Tom Daly at the MEF Americas conference a couple of weeks ago in Miami.
Great!
And what a vision! And if you can just learn something from Coke about how that they're looking at leveraging their trust and with the brand, and they don't want to spoil it, but they want to get into this space, and they know that mobile is about content and consumption, and they've got these vending machines, and they're looking at ways to bridge this. I love when companies get it like that, and that's what gets me excited. So
that's why I love the guide. I wrote it for 4 years because how else can I speak to all these very exciting people and learn all this stuff? So actually, it is work, yes, but it's also a great experience. I wouldn't give it up, and as far as I know, we'll be putting it out again next year.
Well,
we'll be talking about this in another year.
I love it. I don't know how you're going to top this, but transaction, transformation, and trust. So we'll have a link here, but you can just go to mobilegroove.com and you'll be able to find it there as well. Very worthwhile. Good reads. All right, let's jump into the second thing that we want to talk about before we get into the Goblet of Rock.
You're on?
This study about QR codes. I don't think that this is going to surprise anybody in the space, but it's one of these things that when I look at the QR codes, at least in North America, the proliferation is incredible. And I'd say not so much in Canada, but in the States, every newspaper, every advertisement, every banner, I saw it at a local mall here for Santa's workshop, that kind of stuff for the hours. But I've very rarely seen a great implementation of a QR code, like start to finish. And my argument about QR codes, or my feeling about QR codes is simple, is that they're powerful when done right. And in order for them to be done right, there is an advertising component and a marketing component on the front end, which is not mobile. And then there's the mobile enablement of the QR codes, which is when you actually scan it, what's that experience on the mobile device? Two separate things, and my feeling is that there aren't very many companies that are getting this. And the other side of it is the results of this study of 1,000 people in the UK, that maybe people don't understand what to do with these things.
Yeah, that's what was the interesting part of this. I mean, I go to conferences that are the ones we all have to go to. So there's Mobile World Congress and CTIA and some others. But I went to one put on by Mobile Squared and got together with Ralph Risk, who's over at Lightspeed Research doing some great research there. And these are the reports that sort of are along the way. And when you find them, you have really a bit of a gem. So this is 1,000 people in the UK, and they're surveyed about their attitudes around QR codes, how many people have used a QR code, how many people know how to use a QR code, what do they think they can do with a QR code. I can go through some of the findings with you,
Sure.
just sort of buzz through them. But what I find the most interesting in this report is it says to me that there's tremendous potential in QR codes when done right, so I'll join you on that one. However, we aren't making it clear to people the value of a QR code. So we're not answering that me generation question, why do I need to click on this? And to say, well, you're going to have additional information or you're going to go to a website landing page. Oh, okay, all right, that's all right. But do I need to do that now? Do I need to do that on the street?
And what do I get for that? What are you going to give me?
Yeah, what are you going to give me? So it has to be clear how to use them and why to use them. And I think when we have that answer, that the industry gives us that answer in its campaigns, in its presentations, maybe in its education. Maybe we interview some people from the QR space here and we give them a platform, we give them a voice, let them make it clear about this so that everyone in the ecosystem, all the stakeholders are on the same page. It's not just about the code and the artwork and the presentation and the campaign. It's about the education around it. I think we have to get that right first.
Yeah.
Technology is doing just fine. I mean, when I test them, as I told you, I'm based here in Europe, so when I click through on them, it's not a very exciting experience yet. There's always still gaps. So I'm just getting, in typical German fashion, I'm getting lots of important information. But so I'll go into some of the findings for you. 29%. Why haven't you used a QR code before? I'm not interested. 27%. I don't have the app required. 12%. I couldn't get it to work. And then below that, 8%, my camera doesn't have the scanner. 3%, I don't trust them. So, why aren't they doing it? Because they're not interested. Why aren't they interested? They don't know what's in it for them. What do you think you can do with a QR code? Get more information. 50%. Get a coupon or discount, 29%. I mean, we can go down a road of what the incentives should be. I'm not always in favor of the freebies and the coupons because you're going to get these people who are just there for your freebies and your coupons. Yeah. But on the other hand, I mean, offer them something. It could be a piece of content. It could be an experience. I did some roundtable discussions with millennials from different countries a while back. They're over on my site. I did them on behalf of one of my clients, which is Optism. And I think some of those answers hold true, that in many cases the incentive was just to be part of an in-crowd. I mean, that was enough to accept an advertisement as such. In a permission-based marketing advertisement was to say, you're a big fan of X. Next time something happens about, the group or Apple, whatever you're a big fan of, you'll be one of the first to know. That's a great incentive for people because they look at these companies as part of their lives.
Right.
So, just something to keep in mind as we think about what the actions and incentives are for clicking on a barcode in the first place, QR codes. And in the last 6 months, how many times have you used QR codes? Once, 21%. 2 to 5 times, 54%. So that's not bad. We do see, usage of the codes. How are they using them? This goes back to your point. 32% saw them in a magazine or a newspaper. I think that's actually great news. You might say, oh, that's sort of like old media. But then again, isn't it a great way to get old media on the bandwagon? We don't have to lose all our newspapers and magazines. They do have a chance to be in mobile without being mobile. They can go in through the digital entry point. And others are posters or leaflets, food packaging. Again, that bringing together of the physical and digital worlds, I think that's exciting. I think that's maybe the most exciting thing about QR codes is that it brings that little bit of digital into your physical life. I don't know how you're experiencing them. You said you have your feelings about the experience.
Yeah, it's funny because I see this as a resurgence of print, right? It's when done properly, you have a print product or a physical product that allows you to extend that conversation through into digital. So whether it's an article in a paper or an advertisement in a paper, but what I see too often is that there's a QR code right next to an article, and you scan the article, that QR code, and it takes you to the same article online, and that's where it breaks down to me, right? Which is, look, it's not just about replicating. I don't want the same article. I want something in addition to. And there are many great examples, and I hope that throughout this show we can, in many more episodes, we can be bringing these up that are some of the best examples of this. But boy, there's a lot of work to do in education, it would seem, to be able to get people to start to use these. But I'll tell you, it works. I have 5-year-old twin boys, and one of them noticed a QR code on the top of a bottle, and he walked it up to me and said, "Hey, Dad, you have to scan this. It takes you someplace and you get more information." And that's a 5-year-old. And so I think that I'm doing my job to educate about what these things can do. Now it's up to the advertisers and the marketers and the content creators to be able to now start doing this effectively. Start thinking about how you're writing and how you're using these things to make it a little bit more engaging. And those people that say that there's no value in it will change their tune when you start adding value.
Yep. And we taught a whole we have a successful track record in short codes. I mean, my grandmother uses them. Yeah. That was also teaching people something new. But if you do it in such a way with the proper incentives and the proper support, you can help us to understand these new interfaces to content and services. That's all they are. I mean, the other thing we didn't talk about with QR codes that many people get very excited about is that it's also a way to navigate the web from the physical world.
Right.
It's saying that you can digital enable anything, which gets to be very exciting. And then there are other applications, maybe not so thrilling, but nonetheless important, in the enterprise. When you can have a barcode on an object that means something, get into M2M, so the machines are understanding each other. Yeah. We get into security. There's lots of places you can go with this. The packaging on pharmaceuticals, there's an awful lot of information. Can't I have all the side effects and everything? Can I get all that just by interacting with the packaging? So we didn't even start there yet. Yep. But there's a lot of mileage here. So people who say that they're dead or they're over or whatever, I say no. It's part of the mix. It's part of the cross-media mix. It's an exciting cross-media mix. It has all sorts of pieces in it.
Well, I'll leave this story with one great example. There's a Vancouver-based coffee roaster called the Ethical Bean Coffee, and these guys, nobody knows what fair trade coffee is, and it's it's almost like a trademark term now, fair trade coffee. So they said, listen, what we're going to do is we're going to put QR codes on all of our packages. And so when you scan a QR code, you're going to get a few things. One is the type of coffee bean in there, the acidity level, all those things that if you're a coffee connoisseur, you're going to want to know. But the other thing is that you're going to get a story of how that coffee was roasted, and you're going to get to know there's videos and links to more information about the actual roaster in Guatemala and who owns the plantation, and how videos that they went down and filmed in order to be able to give you a backstory on the coffee that you're drinking and what does it mean for ethical and fair trade coffee. And that it tells a great story. It means that I'm engaged with the brand, and I do that when it's on the shelf at Loblaws here in Canada. I scan that QR code and I get the story, and it changes my decision-making process versus no name versus something that actually has a story like that. And that's just one of many examples. And I'd implore you, anybody who's watching this or listening, if you have those stories, reach out. You can reach out at untethered@gmail.com. We'll feature some of these things because they're great examples. North America, rest of the world, Europe, doesn't matter where you are, let us know because it's very important that we bring these to light. Now, one of the things that they talk about with QR codes is that, as you said, that the QR code is dead. We're going to move into NFC. They also said this about text messaging, didn't they? And SMS and all of these things in short codes. And what have we seen? Right? Yeah. This kind of growth, in concave growth so quickly that text messaging is growing. And this is where we get to raise our goblet of rock to a company that is embracing this kind of thing, right? So let's talk about, well, first of all, I'm going to raise my goblet of rock here.
Okay, and I will too. So we got this here. So we can sort of there There we go. That's
Yeah.
a virtual. That's cool.
And that's for the tribute here. It's like Elvis Presley in a Bruce Springsteen cup. That's all I got.
Hey, that is the combination here.
It is the goblet. So let's talk about these guys who are really embracing this SMS and short messaging world. This company called Just.me. The company's not called that, but let's talk about Just.me.
Yeah, the service is Just.me. It's great because you just talked about how we call text messaging dead in the water, and the innovation continues. And even more interesting for me is if you watch the innovation coming out of the developing world as opposed to developed.
Yes.
We say, oh yeah, we did text, that's nothing new. What are they doing with it? They're doing everything. They're making payments, they're praying, they're communicating, they're voting, they're monitoring elections. I mean, they're doing everything with text. It's a fascinating story. I love to watch it. Our good friend, mutual colleague here, Tommy Ahonen, he writes about it all the time. He gets it, that there's still so much innovation, so much mileage there, because it is a language. Mm-hmm. It is the other way we communicate. I mean, ask some of the friends of my niece. It's the only way they communicate. Voice is unknown. Slightly frightening.
Yes.
Slightly frightening. So I'm going to raise my goblet of rock here. Okay, to the people at Telesis Limited UK. I had a discussion a while back with Mike Berry, who turned me on to this. It was just a press release he sent me about something called Just.me. I'll hold it up, but you can't see it probably, but there you go. You see that's for the real thing. And it's thinking about a new way to do social networking and text. So what you do is you set up a message somewhere, and when someone sends a dot to my short code, what they'll do is they'll see the message. So I put up a message that we're in a club or something, and we're going to have practice on Friday. I don't need to tell all the members of my sports club, we're going to do this on Friday. So it's like a new way of broadcasting, one-to-many broadcast in a specific circle, in a specific community. Now that's very cool, but for me, what's even more interesting is I think about the developed world versus developing again, and I'm thinking, okay, what about the independent business people, the merchants, the phone ladies of Bangladesh? All of these people have alternative business models and businesses that are powering these economies. This allows them to say, I will be at the market at such and such a time. I will have my corn, and I will have my potatoes, and everybody knows it. They don't make the trip for nothing. They go there. There can be a transaction. This gives them another way to communicate because voice costs. They're certainly not going to call all of their customers and say, "Come on down to the market. I've got potatoes," and it's also just not possible. From a pragmatic standpoint. So this is a different way of having a communication. I think this will support and also promote commerce. I think it will support and promote, what Howard Rheingold tells us about the smart mobs. You can imagine groups organizing for a good reason, right? I want to stress that. Yes. For a good reason, being able to also organize. Yes, Twitter's part of it, Facebook is part of it, but this is more immediate, and I think that's a wonderful addition to the mix, allowing us to communicate, allowing us to have a service that's non-intrusive and helpful. So here's to Mike Berry, people at Telesis, Just.me. I look forward to doing an interview on Mobile Groove, maybe having him here. I think it's an awesome service.
I like this kind of service as well, and I think that the simpler it is, with the least amount of friction, the faster it is for adoption, faster it is for use. If you don't have to change the way you do something drastically in order to be able to use something like this, I think it's great, and especially when it we've got to get the lens of developed nations out of here and start to think about how this can benefit people who use these things, the smartphones and feature phones, as their first screen, and we get so focused. And one of the things that came out of this study that I saw for the net size guide and a few numbers that Tommy put together is that when you start to think about smartphone penetration, 20% of smartphones are in the United States. And then if you kind of put it up, it's about 24% in North America, with Canada and the United States. The rest, not in North America. right? So start to think about that, and certainly the amount of connected devices are all outside of North America for the most part. And when you start to think about a service like this, it just makes sense. We might look at it and say it's old school, but I say old school is new school again when it comes to these kind of services. If we can make it so easy like this, we'll start using it. I swear we'll start using it. Texting and this kind of stuff. So it's just .me is the service. And I'll include a link to Telsus and the PDF that you have in your hand in the show notes. So if you're listening to this or watching this, come back to the site wherever you found this, and you'll see a link off to the Telsus site. And let's wrap it here. One of the things I'd love to get some feedback from you guys who are listening or watching is first episode. We know we'd love some suggestions about what you'd like to hear about the differences or what's going on in Europe versus North America. Or I'd love to just keep this focused on bringing what is going on in Europe and the developing nations and the developed nations are surrounding it, simply because we get a lot of perspective. So feedback would be great. Reach out at untethered@gmail.com or reach out to Peggy. How do they reach you, Peggy?
Peggy at mobilegroove.com or DM me. It's at Peggy Ann.
Okay. And through Twitter, it's at mobilegroove as well?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And of course,
I'm watching them all on my tweet deck. 20 columns of stuff here.
Just
Command
streams
Central.
through. We're gonna bring a second episode, but we really appreciate you sitting around and listening or watching this wherever you may be. Really appreciate your time, and would love some feedback about this, Peggy. I can't wait to just keep doing episodes as we go through this. So thank you very much for doing this, and I'm ecstatic about going forward with you.
Thank you. Great, Rob, and I'm looking forward to it.
All right, Peggy. Till next time.
Have a
until
good
next
one.
episode.
Yep.
We'll see you guys later.
Have a good one.